The woman never wore her seatbelt on airplanes, but this unexpectedly saved her life. While she was sleeping next to her husband, a fighter jet suddenly flew past the window, and the two planes collided. The impact tore a huge hole in the plane, and the powerful airflow sucked out flight attendants and passengers. Because the woman wasn't wearing a seatbelt, she was thrown from her seat and fell to the floor. Her body kept sliding downward as the plane's wing exploded, causing the aircraft to split in half. Fortunately, the woman managed to grab her husband's hand in time. However, the plane broke apart again, and while the woman clung to a seat, her husband was flung out. By this point, the plane had completely shattered. The woman could only tightly hold onto a cabin partition as it plummeted downward. Unexpectedly, the strong airflow threw her back onto a seat, and in a panic, she fastened her seatbelt. Soon after, the plane crashed into a forest. When the woman woke up, she and her husband were sitting in a movie theater. After the movie ended, she went to the restroom. When she came out, she noticed the theater lobby was empty, and the exit had somehow turned into a forest. She walked out and discovered the wreckage of a plane with an unconscious person inside. As she moved closer to investigate, she suddenly woke up from her own unconscious state. It turned out it had all been a dream. She had survived the crash. However, her leg was impaled by a piece of metal. She tried to pull it out, but the pain was unbearable. After a while, she tried again and finally succeeded. She tore off part of her skirt to bandage the wound and slowly stood up, calling out for her husband. The eerie silence of the forest filled her with fear and despair, and she fainted again in the seat. When she woke up once more, she heard the sound of an airplane. Desperate, she grabbed a scarf from a nearby passenger and, despite the pain, ran toward the sound, shouting for help. But the forest was too dense, and the people on the plane couldn't hear her cries. Feeling utterly hopeless, the woman remembered something her husband had once told her: a simple compass could be made using a needle. She quickly took a pin from a doll badge, rubbed it against her skirt to magnetize it, and placed it on a leaf in a puddle of water. The pin pointed north, filling her with excitement. She ran to the river to collect water in a bag, then returned to the plane to gather any useful items she could carry. She took off her shoes and tied them to her feet with cloth strips. Finally, she took one last look at the plane and turned away, determined to find her husband.